Smoke rolled through the shattered crystal corridors of the Imperial Summit Palace. Emergency alarms wailed as explosions ripped through the station, sending fragments of glass and steel raining across polished white floors. Princess Lyra Kalaris ran. Her silver ceremonial robes, once woven with threads of living starlight, were torn and stained with blood that wasn't hers. Every breath burned. Every heartbeat echoed louder than the alarms. Behind her, the last of the Imperial Guard made their stand. She heard steel clash, a scream, then silence. Captain Varos, her lifelong protector, had bought her exactly 12 seconds. His final order still echoed inside her mind. "Run, Your Highness." She obeyed. The corridor ended. A blast door blocked her escape. Locked. Her hands struck the control panel. Nothing. The station's systems were dead. Then she heard them. 8 perfectly synchronized footsteps. Not hurried. Not excited. Patient. Confident. 8 figures emerged through the smoke wearing black armor that absorbed the light around them. Their helmets were featureless, their movements almost mechanical. Each carried a single glowing blade. The Empire whispered stories about them to frighten young officers. The Void Dominion simply called them the 8 Executioners. No one had ever defeated one. Tonight, all 8 had come for her. The leader slowly raised his blade. "Princess Lyra," the distorted voice echoed through the corridor. "Your death will save billions." She stared at him in disbelief. "You're starting a war." "No, we're preventing one." He stepped forward. "Humanity cannot be allowed to join the stars." Lyra's heartbeat froze. Before she could answer, a calm voice echoed behind them. "You'll have to go through me first." The executioners turned. A lone human soldier stood at the opposite end of the corridor. His rifle hung uselessly from its sling, disabled by the station-wide electromagnetic pulse. In his hand, only a combat knife. Captain Ethan Carter walked forward without rushing. No powered armor. No energy shield. No advanced weapon. Just one man. The executioners laughed. Ethan didn't. He simply adjusted his grip. "If history remembers today," he said quietly, "I'd rather it remember that someone stood." The first assassin charged. 24 hours earlier. Earth had never looked so beautiful. Captain Ethan Carter stood alone at the observation window aboard the diplomatic cruiser Horizon. The blue planet slowly disappeared behind them. Beside him, Ambassador Helen Brooks folded her arms. "Last chance to fake a stomachache." He smiled. "I've jumped from aircraft into active combat. And I've never met an alien." She laughed. "You know what worries me? The aliens. The politicians." For the first time that morning, Ethan laughed. Then his smile faded. He looked back at Earth one last time. Helen noticed. "You'll miss home." "I always do. So why volunteer?" Ethan answered without taking his eyes off the shrinking planet. "Because if history goes wrong, someone has to bring everyone home." Helen studied him for a moment. She understood. That wasn't bravery. That was responsibility. Hours later, the Horizon exited faster than light travel. Every person aboard fell silent. Ahead of them floated the Imperial Summit Station. It wasn't a station. It was a civilization. Cities wrapped around rotating rings. Artificial oceans shimmered beneath transparent domes. Entire forests grew along the inner surface of colossal habitats. Thousands of ships moved through space like schools of fish around a living world. Even Ethan whispered, "Impossible." When Earth's delegation entered the Grand Hall, conversation gradually stopped. Hundreds of civilizations watched, not all with the same expression. A reptilian ambassador snorted. "So these are the newcomers." A towering insectoid clicked its mandibles. "They evolved through continuous warfare." A crystalline diplomat leaned forward with curiosity. "They also invented international disaster relief." A feathered scholar quietly added, "They're the only known species that sends civilians into burning buildings to save strangers. They call them firefighters." Silence followed. One noble scoffed, "Primitive sentiment." Another replied, "Or remarkable courage." Ethan heard every word. He ignored them all. His mission wasn't to win arguments. His mission was simple. Everyone who arrived went home alive. From the imperial balcony, Princess Lyra watched the humans enter. Unlike the other nobles, she already knew their history. She had spent 5 years secretly studying Earth. Wars, music, medicine, art, disaster response, rescue workers, ordinary people risking everything for people they'd never met. Her advisor approached quietly. "Your Highness." "Yes. Why do you believe humanity deserves admission into the Alliance?" She smiled. "Because powerful civilizations are common." The advisor waited. Compassionate ones aren't. The welcoming ceremony began. Representatives exchanged speeches, treaties, promises. Then, a frightened cry echoed through the chamber. A small alien child stood alone near the central staircase, trembling. Hundreds looked. No one moved. Some expected palace security. Others assumed the parents would appear. Ethan stepped out of formation. He knelt. "Hey!" The translator softly converted his voice. "You look like you've had a rough day." The child nodded. "So have I." For a moment, the child laughed, a tiny laugh. "But enough." Ethan held out his hand. "Let's fix today together." The grand hall buzzes with quiet conversations after Earth's arrival. Hundreds of alien delegates study the newcomers. Some whisper that humans look fragile. Others are surprised that Earth's representatives arrived without an intimidating fleet. The Imperial Orchestra resumes playing, and the ceremony continues. Then, the lights flicker. Not enough to cause panic. Just enough for trained soldiers to notice. Most delegates look back toward the ceremony. Captain Ethan Carter doesn't. His eyes move to every exit, every balcony, every maintenance corridor. Princess Lyra, watching from the upper balcony, notices something unusual. Every diplomat is admiring the hall. The human soldier is studying the people. She quietly asks one of her advisors, "Who is that officer?" The advisor replies, "Captain Ethan Carter, security commander of Earth's delegation." She keeps watching him. A tiny alien child accidentally wanders away from its family. The crowd is too busy watching the ceremony to notice. The child begins crying. Several diplomats hesitate. No one wants to offend another civilization by touching its young. Ethan kneels several meters away instead of approaching immediately. He smiles gently. "It's okay." The child looks at him. Instead of reaching for the child, he simply offers an open hand. For several seconds, nothing happens. Then, the child slowly walks forward and places its tiny hand into Ethan's. A wave of whispers spreads through the grand hall. The child's parents rush over. Relieved, embarrassed, the little alien suddenly wraps both arms around Ethan before returning to its family. Silence. Every nearby conversation stops. One elderly ambassador whispers, "It chose him." Another replies, "That species never touches strangers." Princess Lyra watches in disbelief. Not because a human helped, because the child trusted him immediately. Ethan simply nods politely and returns to his position without waiting for praise. Deep beneath the station, Commander Varric watches the security footage. Again, again, again. The child's hug replays on dozens of holographic screens. An officer asks, "Should we proceed?" Varric smiles. "Yes, but revise our assumptions." The officer looks confused. "Our intelligence says humans are physically average." Varric shakes his head. "I wasn't measuring strength." He pauses the recording on Ethan kneeling beside the child. "I was measuring influence." He slowly stands. Empires fall because someone earns trust. He turns toward his officers. Phase 1 begins now. At the exact moment Varric finishes speaking, one security camera deep inside the station suddenly loses signal. Then another. Then another. A silent infiltration has begun. No alarms sound. No one notices, except Captain Ethan Carter. Without saying a word, he slowly turns toward a dark service corridor. Something, or someone, is already inside the Imperial Summit Station. The grand hall continued as though nothing had happened. Music echoed beneath crystal domes. Diplomats resumed their conversations. The orchestra played, yet Captain Ethan Carter couldn't shake the feeling growing in his chest. He looked once more toward the dark maintenance corridor. Empty. Silent. Too silent. His instincts whispered the same warning that had saved his life countless times. Something was wrong. Without asking permission, Ethan quietly stepped away from the delegation. Ambassador Helen Brooks noticed. "Captain." He never took his eyes off the corridor. "I'll be back." The corridor wasn't part of the public ceremony. Maintenance personnel rarely used it during diplomatic events. Yet, fresh footprints crossed the polished floor. Not many, just enough. Someone had been there only moments earlier. Ethan rested one hand on the grip of his sidearm. From the upper balcony, Lyra noticed Ethan leaving the ceremony. Curiosity overcame protocol. Ignoring the protests of her attendants, she quietly slipped away through a private passage overlooking the maintenance wing. She didn't intend to interfere. She simply wanted to understand why the human trusted his instincts more than the Empire's security. For the first time in years, Princess Lyra ignored palace procedure. The further Ethan walked, the quieter everything became. The orchestra disappeared. The voices faded. Only the distant hum of the station remained. Then, he noticed it. A security camera. Dark. Offline. Then another. And another. The FR2 owned. They're blind. No maintenance request. No emergency notice. Entire sections of the station had vanished from the surveillance grid. Someone hadn't hacked a camera. Someone had erased an entire corridor. Deep beneath the station, Commander Varric stood before a wall of holographic displays. Most showed static. Exactly as planned. An officer spoke. "Our infiltrators are inside." Varric nodded. "The humans? They remain with the delegation." Ethan reached a heavy security door. The biometric lock had been sliced clean through. Not blasted. Not broken. Cut. Professionally. The door stood slightly open. He slowly drew his pistol. The corridor beyond was almost completely dark. Warm emergency lights reflected across polished metal walls. He took one careful step inside. The smell reached him first. Burned circuitry. Ozone. Then, blood. Not much. Just enough to tell him someone had died. Hidden behind a maintenance console, an Imperial security officer lay motionless. No signs of struggle. One precise wound. Military execution. Pinned beneath the officer's lifeless hand, a security access card. Still active. Ethan carefully picked it up. Its authorization level flashed across the screen. Imperial throne access. His heartbeat slowed. Whoever killed this guard wasn't trying to escape. They were heading toward the Emperor. Far behind Ethan, a faint metallic click echoed through the darkness. Not loud. Just enough. He stopped breathing. Without turning around, he quietly spoke. "I know you're there." Silence. Then, a calm voice answered from the shadows. "So, the humans really are different." The corridor lights flickered once. Then everything went dark. Kedded up. The device activated immediately. A hologram appeared. Commander Varric. Calm. Composed. Looking directly at Ethan. "If you're watching this, you've already exceeded my expectations." The hologram smiled. "I look forward to meeting you properly." The message ended. The cube disintegrated into ash. Across the station, massive blast doors slammed shut. Emergency lights shifted to amber. Thousands of diplomats looked around in confusion. The Imperial Summit Station entered full lockdown. For the first time in centuries, no one was allowed to leave. And somewhere inside the sealed station, the real mission had only just begun. Across the station, massive blast doors sealed with a thunderous boom. Amber emergency lights washed over the crystal corridors. The orchestra stopped. Diplomats froze. Thousands of visitors looked toward the towering security gates now locking every section of the Imperial Summit Station. A calm automated voice echoed through every hallway. "Emergency lockdown initiated." No departures authorized. All personnel remain where you are. Fear spread faster than the announcement itself. Only Captain Ethan Carter remained completely still. His eyes stayed fixed on the darkness beyond the maintenance corridor. Someone was already there. A metallic click echoed through the silence. Ethan slowly placed the Imperial Throne access card inside his vest. Without turning around, he quietly said, "You've been following us." Silence. Princess Lyra instinctively stepped closer to him. Then, a calm voice answered from the darkness. "Not bad. Most Imperial officers never make it this far." A figure slowly emerged. Black adaptive armor. No insignia. No visible face. Only a reflective helmet hiding every expression. The stranger stopped beneath the amber lights. He looked directly at Ethan. "Commander Varric underestimated your species. Neither man raised a weapon." For several long seconds, they simply watched each other. Lyra whispered, "Who are you?" The assassin ignored her. His attention never left Ethan. "You noticed the missing cameras. You found the access card. You weren't supposed to." Ethan replied calmly, "Neither were you." For the first time, the assassin laughed. A quiet laugh, almost respectful. Without warning, the corridor lights vanished. Darkness swallowed everything. A blade flashed. Ethan shoved Lyra behind him. Steel crashed against his forearm armor. Sparks exploded across the corridor. Ethan drew his pistol. One shot. The muzzle flash illuminated the corridor for a split second. The assassin had already disappeared. Only footsteps echoed through the darkness. Another strike came from behind. Ethan barely turned in time. Their fight lasted only seconds, yet neither gained the advantage. When the lights returned, the assassin stood 20 meters away, completely untouched. The assassin slowly lowered his blade. "You're wasting time." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" The assassin looked toward the station ceiling. "I'm not the mission." He pressed something on his wrist. Every nearby holographic display suddenly changed. Dozens of red markers appeared across the station. Simultaneous attacks. Different sectors. Different teams. Then one marker flashed gold. Imperial Throne Chamber. Lyra's face turned white. "Father." The assassin smiled beneath his helmet. "Now! Run!" Without another word, the assassin disappeared into a maintenance shaft. Ethan didn't chase him. Instead, he grabbed Lyra's hand. "Show me the fastest route." She nodded. The two sprinted through the palace corridors. Around them, chaos erupted. Imperial guards exchanged fire with hidden infiltrators. Explosions shattered crystal bridges. Emergency drones flew overhead. Panicked diplomats searched desperately for shelter. For the first time, human and alien soldiers fought side by side. They burst into the Imperial Throne Chamber. Too late. The 8 executioners were already there. Imperial guards lay scattered across the polished floor. The Emperor stood before his throne, surrounded. The executioners raised their weapons. Ethan didn't hesitate. He threw himself between them. The first energy blast struck his armor. The second knocked him to one knee. Still, he stood. One by one, Imperial guards rallied behind him. Then human marines arrived. Together, humans and aliens charged as one. The battle shook the entire throne room. When the fighting finally stopped, Commander Varric stepped from the shadows. No armor, no weapon, only absolute confidence. He looked at Ethan. "Now I understand."